What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Boyce, and you're here for another episode of Facts Project. Today, special guest. Wanted to have him on for issue 1, but I missed that chance. So I got him here for issue 2. I'd like to welcome everybody. Alim Leggett, all the way from Philly. We're here to talk about Sweet Pea issue 2. Thank you for being here, brother.
Oh, man. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate you providing the platform.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For real. So, to get right into this, I want to talk about like the inspirations that basically brought you to this, because more so you could talk about the nuances. It's a very protective father that is mindful over the everyday life of his daughter Imani.
Yes.
And one fateful school bus ride changes everything in this.
Mm-hmm.
So to talk about this, I mean, the forefront, just the family aspect at first. Who are Imani and Marcus Williams?
All right. So it's a father and daughter inside of Philadelphia. Imani is loosely inspired by my own daughter, who was at the time of writing issue 1 was 14 years old. So yeah, you're right. He's a very protective father, and Marcus is a very protective father. You know, he just cares about his daughter and trying to put a foundation inside of her life that'll help her through all of her, just struggles and everything like that. And it actually pays forward into what we have going on inside of the book eventually. So
Word. And no, like just the first 12 pages, like the midway into the book, there's a lot happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when we're talking about like just basically getting on the bus with Imani, friends is busting on her hair because only your dad does her hair. And pretty much from then on in, a lot of things start happening. Marcus is watching the news the same as a bunch of kids on the bus are also looking at the news on their phones and realizing from that day forth that their school is on fire, and pretty much there's catastrophic things happening around the world, and also in the middle of the highway that's about to hit their bus.
Right.
So when you started to craft this book, how fast did you want to jump into this? Because the conflict happened so early.
Yeah. Well, originally, I was thinking we go through like 4 or 5 issues of it going one way, maybe like spend a good 15 pages or so on just kind of building up these characters more. But the guy that I was working with, Stephen Duffy from Apex Comics UK, to help me write the issue 1, he's like, that's kind of like a manga mindset, you know what I mean? Where you got like 30, you got a 200 issue story inside of your head, but we really got to distill this down to get this issue out and get the readers interested and keep their attention with everything. So we went back to the drawing board, and we gave you what we got, which I think is a great book. And I have plans after I finish this introductory arc, maybe to do like an extended cut inside of like a trade copy, like a graphic novel. Throw the first 4 issues in there, as well as like a couple of other pages, kind of flesh out the story more. But right now, the intention is just to excite the reader and give them some attachments so they can look forward to what's to come next.
Yeah, how everything was happening so fast, it almost reminded me of like the first issue of Invincible, to where like pretty much everything was like happening all in one. And no, there was a little bit of forefront why that was happening. Robert Kirkman, when he put Invincible issue 1 together, he pretty much did all the climactic events so early because he thought the book was going to get canceled. So
yeah,
that was the main reason for that. But in essence, you got Marcus. When we talk about him being a protective father, as soon as Imani gets on the bus, he pretty much conquers up this lie on the phone with his job and everything, and he's following the bus.
Yeah.
So does he do like from the mindset of the reader? Has he been doing this like a lot? Like does he do this every day?
Well, hold on. Now, Marcus is going on his way to work, and she's going to she's on the bus. He's late because he's dealing with her, making sure that she's all set and out the door and everything. He ain't want to leave and have her get herself ready for her day. or anything like that. So
No.
that's why he had to. That's why he had to make that lie up to the job or whatever, right? So,
Right.
but um, they're going two separate directions.
Okay.
Okay, so it's something there for you that you're gonna learn more about in issue two, because I see where your mind is going,
Uh-huh.
right? But yeah, they were actually going in two separate directions, and Marcus was running late because of what he had going on with his daughter, right?
Got you. Got you. Now, instrumental in the titles. Now, Sweet Pea issue 1 is called Purple Haze.
Yes.
Sweet Pea issue 2 is called the Sons of Adam, which is
Right.
more so a new set of characters that are basically going to be built up in issue 2. Why did
Yes.
you preferably decide to name issue 1 Purple Haze?
Purple Haze is just a nickname for the event that happens that causes all the chaos to break out into the city. You see, it was a lot of purple in the sky and inside of the tones of all the characters, and everything was kind of like lightly coated with that purple, because that's supposed to represent this energy that's here inside of the planet now, and affecting everything around it, which is how you get introduced to all the things that you saw on the highway, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So inevitably, things are falling out the sky and everything's so catastrophic, but it ends up being like these creatures, these devil dogs that are pretty much tearing up the entire landscape.
Yeah.
And let alone they've already arrived on the highway to where they've already crashed the school bus and are devouring everybody inside, to the
Yes.
point where Imani just has to have split second thinking and get her and poor Amaya, her best friend, out of the school bus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So like in looking at the essence of things, like when people were watching, when Marcus was watching it on TV and the kids were watching it on their phones, this was not only just happening where they were at, this was happening everywhere, right?
Correct. Yes. It's a global event.
Mm,
Our story is going to closely follow the events of Imani's life, but it is happening all around the world. So there's room for, like other things that happen outside of her perspective that
mm-hmm.
might change her interactions in the future. And I think maybe one day I'll do like some one shots off to the side, but right now I want to just kind of narrow the scope onto, you know, this one key character, because she is key to the entire world that I crafted.
Got you. Now, this is where it gets interesting because when Imani gets in trouble and all this stuff is pretty much happening, Marcus jumps into action. And let alone, of course, Amaya and Imani are left out there on that highway. Bunch of creatures are surrounding them. It's pretty much about to be curtains. The bus is already being eaten up.
Yep.
And her father comes out of nowhere. But the thing is, also in the meantime, she takes a look and it looks like the person that's already dead happens to be her father.
Right.
But yet
So,
in the same breath, he's out there in front of her kicking ass. So it's almost like, okay, this is mysterious power scale because he's telling her, look, don't forget about all that. Let's just keep moving. And he doesn't say, I'll tell you all about it later. He just is like, just trying to just get her out of the entire situation. So this mysterious power scale that Marcus has that he still hasn't revealed in the entire issue just seems to come into play.
yeah. So I know we're not on issue two yet, but that's something that you can look forward to learning more about inside of issue two. And what I really wanted to try to focus in on during that scene was just the different reactions to trauma. So you
Mm-hmm.
can see the difference between, how Marcus reacted one way, his priorities was made clear, right?
Yep.
And Imani's priorities was find my dad because that represents safety, and find somewhere safe. And Amaya, you see
Poor
the
Maya.
yeah,
That's what I said, man. Amaya was stuck.
yeah,
And the thing is, you could tell frame to frame, Amaya was just like stuck in like she was just looking in one direction, did not blink. She wasn't paying attention to Imani, who was telling her to get up and go. And
catatonic, yeah.
that pretty much ended up in her demise.
Yeah, I
Poor,
just wanted to try to get inside of these people's heads a little bit. So this is around like 13, maybe 14-year-old little
yeah.
girl that's seeing some like crazy stuff happening,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, her constitution isn't there to where she can respond to that. She's like a deer in the headlights,
Right.
from seeing all that madness going on.
Yeah. And even so, Imani in that aspect, the next turn of events is them just basically all she's thinking about is her dog. She got to get home to Benny.
Yeah.
So they finally make it home, and it's almost like that whatever projection of Marcus fades to make sure that because they're safe, he can finally just drift off. Now, in looking at the pages, did he just walk away, or was it that it was a projection? And that is he like almost in? It's almost like he was a ghost, a projection, or an astral plane version of himself.
He did not walk away, right?
He
So
didn't walk away.
no, he didn't walk away. So you on the right track. The situation calmed down a little bit. Tensions kind of eased. So during that downtime, his purpose at that point was served. But no, he didn't just get up and go outside.
See, yeah, but inevitably they're not safe.
Right.
So another battle ensues. This time with this overgrown purple ape that just like destroys the entire house. But Marcus kicks back into effect. But there is a frame in that book where Marcus reappears, where you're looking at Imani's eyes, and her eyes are glowing.
Right.
For like that split second, because it's the largest panel in the frame. It takes up the whole page.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you look at Imani's eyes and you're like, wait. Okay, so in essence, certain things start to arise. One, Marcus probably ain't even from here.
Okay.
Two, there's a reason that he's protecting his daughter. Three, there's probably a woman out there, a mother, that don't play around her probably her baby father or husband and her child that's out there outside of Earth that might show up later on in these issues.
Okay. These some great theories, man.
Hey, look, man, this is what I
I
read.
can neither confirm nor deny
Okay, I
anything, but
got
you
you.
got some great theories.
But inevitably, like after that second bout, three sinister characters start to arrive, and that's the final frame for issue 1.
Yep.
And I'm going to take a wild guess at this because of the character descriptions that you used in your summary for issue 2. That the Bane is pretty much those three figures that show up now on Earth.
Yeah, those are leaders of this invading force, correct?
Right. So this is a full-scale invasion on Earth, and this is something that they've been habitually doing to the universe for a while.
Yes, yeah, correct. This is a faction that is, bred for war and conquest and hollowing out planets for resources and then moving on to the next. I can give you a little bit about their motives because it doesn't really spoil the story. But the Bane travel across different dimensions, creating these events that bring about that purple energy that we saw, because they harvest that in an attempt to revive their dead god. So it's a religious aspect to them.
Right.
It's and their cultural aspect is just heavy on war, and they don't see human beings as a species worthy of, or any other species is worthy of consideration for, as equals or anything like that. So like it's the Bane, and then it's everything else. So like they would be humans, and everything else is just cattle to them, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Damn. So like, I mean, in essence, I mean, they just feel like anything is theirs for the taking.
Yes, by right, by virtue of their existence. You know what I mean? Like they are the apex predators of the across dimensions.
Okay. Now there's a small sliver of there was a small panel where basically Marcus is telling Imani if anything happens, to go to St. Michael's.
Right.
Like their place is a fortress, and they probably got a food drive, so you'll be able to get all the food that you want. But the thing is, that particular place You know, it's like almost as a safe haven.
Hmm.
Um, is there more at play than just Marcus being like someone of his power scale on Earth to basically say that maybe there's somebody at St. Michael's of his like that probably pretty much can help also in the same aspect?
Okay. I see where you're going. Now, St. Michael's, there was a food drive going on there.
Yep.
So, and it's a big fortified place. So that's what his thinking is, this place is stocked, this place is secured,
Mhm.
right? That's not only his thinking though. So
Right.
so in the next issue, we're going there. I'll tell you that. We're going to St. Michael's inside of the next issue, but they're not in a bubble. They're not the only survivors left in Philly.
Mm.
So there's other people in St. Michael's. You know, there's other people that's exhibiting these transformations too,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So and there's different responses to trauma still. So it's like a powder keg.
Yeah. Well, I kind of noticed that basically in this summary for issue 2, everything gets more broad.
Right,
So like already with a traumatic incident happening, you're going to get rebellions start to happen throughout. People that are pretty much scouring whatever landmass they can find for food, shelter, uh, possibly some type of currency in order to get more food or anything like that. So there's people like looting left and right in order to just survive.
right.
The second part, when you're looking at the description for the Last Sons of Adam, which is basically the detailed portion of the book, it's a cult-like following, just basically of people about what had happened during the events of the Purple Haze.
Yeah. So inside of the character descriptions, you got one of them is about this new character named Jalen,
Yeah,
who
and he's talked about as a manifestation of power, but he's a
yeah
child.
he manifests these powers, and then I think in the Sons of Adam description, it's a cult that was formed when he manifest. No, in Jalen's description is a child whose manifestation of power formed a dangerous cult, right?
Mm,
So they see this and they trying to make sense of what's going on. They already in a church, so some kind of imagine like some kind of just religious cult is forming around now this boy because they're isolated and that's their experience. So
mm,
that's their lifeline that they latch on to keep their sanity, and
right. But
yeah.
is there anything like special about the boy, or is it just that
Oh
they're
yeah,
like,
yeah. He's powered. Now that energy, it changes people, changes some people. Not a whole lot of people, but there's a few people that have the benefit of gaining special abilities. Let's say
mm,
superpowers, or whichever way you want to call it.
right?
Um, there's also some changes happening to the environment because the Bane are there. So now like there's alien technology there,
Yeah.
right? And they come with their factories and refineries to get this energy, and that has its own runoffs and everything like that. So the landscape is changing tremendously in a very short amount of time.
Mm.
So we got a
So
lot, we got a lot
yeah,
of angles.
and even in that aspect, you come to find out that there's another group of people. If I'm pronouncing this correctly, the Rizus. Am I saying that correctly?
The result is yeah.
All right. So like I'm looking at them. I'm they're pretty much not. I can't even say that they're the hunters of the Bane, but they're more the rebellious, opposing faction against the Bane.
Yeah, both are pretty much equally correct. So they're former victims of them. So now their thing is they don't have the army to go up against them head on, but they send out guerrilla units and fight in any way that they can to get back.
Ah, okay. So the thing is, they've been probably following them from like galaxy to galaxy in hopes to run into them just to make sure that they just like dead them. from
Yep,
then on in.
following them, laying in wait, trying to prepare worlds for their arrival. Things, all kinds of things. Anything that'll help them get the edge in their, in their fight. So they may be able to help us a little bit, help humanity, but ultimately they have their own objectives, and it's not the safety of humanity. It's just furthering their fight against the Bane. So it wasn't to call them exactly allies, except for in the sense that the enemy of my enemy is my
That's my
friend.
friend. Yep. So now you have an opposing faction. You got a almost religious cult. And lastly, you have the characters of Dr. Rachel and Lieutenant Nathaniel. Lieutenant Nathaniel is the protector of Dr. Rachel because pretty much I guess she's up to something to where she can figure out something science wise that could
Yeah.
pretty much wipe this whole thing clean.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So like I said, there's a lot going on outside of Imani, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because it's the whole world is responding to this event. It's not just this this girl and her dad, but now that they're in close proximity to her in
Mm-hmm.
this next issue, we can explore them a little more and flesh out the world and
Right.
have these other things interactions.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it. I was like, there's so much now happening outside. You almost in the first issue, everything is so centered on just Imani and Marcus,
Right.
and then to project it outward
Mm-hmm.
into what's happening around it. And I like it. One, I like the fact that you basically, because this is geographically set it in Philly, you also put like some of like the street names. You had Lansdowne in there and
Yeah.
everything like that. So I was like, all right, yeah, you definitely from
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah.
But you're basically seeing the world for what it is. But to have three different archetypes pitted in on one like centered storyline of Roundy, Monty, and Marcus, you almost forget about them because of the uh the mass around the characters that are pretty much happening. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how you were able to construct this much setting, this much tone, and within three different point of views, all while counteracting with the main character.
Right. So I like to look at what do I need to drive the story forward,
Mm-hmm.
and how do I give these other characters their due. So there will be points in time where we take a step away, like Amani gets out of the driver's seat,
Yeah.
and another character steps in for a little bit. We get to see some of what's going on with them, but it's always going to be in close proximity to Amani. So uh, yeah, so I'm thinking like, okay, what is what are the government forces? How are they reacting to this? You know what I
Right.
mean? The Bane and the Rizoas, I always wanted to have them because now you got this new element of there's like a war going on and humanity is caught in the middle of it.
Right.
Okay, so
Like Earth is just a ploy in all this.
yeah, Earth is just like
In the
I don't want
way.
to name any countries, but it's the battleground that we
Yeah.
that this war takes place on. This current battle of this war takes place on, and yeah, I just wanted to have interesting characters with their own motives outside of our one character. So she's not the driving force in everybody's life. She's just a 14-year-old girl and a dad trying to take care of her and get from point A to point B. But how do we make that? How do we make that interesting? How do we build a whole world? We need more,
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do it like she finds traveling companions and keeps moving. Even though I do have plans for things like that in the future, but even though I am moving at a kind of a fast pace, I also want to let the story breathe.
It's true. It's true because even though you gave us a preview of the first 4 pages and even the 18th page in the Kickstarter summary, like you still within any of those pages, you don't see Marcus at all. So it's
Right,
almost like he appears when he needs to appear.
right, right. And it's
Yeah.
something to that. It's something to that. I'm not going to leave that line out in the ocean too long. issue 2 is going to clear up a lot of things, but it's also going to leave a lot more to be discovered as well.
Mm.
So I think you'll have some of these theories that you came up with are very close to the truth,
Okay.
and I look forward to how much more I can get you thinking with this next issue.
I look forward to that. Now the creative team. One thing about this book is it does not shy away from the art and how it's basically put together, man. So the creative team that put this together with you, if you could shout them out real quick.
Yeah, I had Stephen Duffy, Apex Comics UK. You know, that's the guy that kind of like put the cables on my back and helped me to really make this thing happen. So I had to
How'd y'all get introduced?
through Facebook, believe it or not, man. On it was either I Create Comic Books or Black Comic Book Creators, one of those groups, which are great groups for
Mhm.
anybody trying to break into indie comics, full of helpful people, resourceful people, and freelancers looking for work. So we met up, and you know, I had the ideas, but I didn't really understand how to put it into a language that would be understood to an artist or anything like that. I'm an artist myself, but I'm not a sequential artist, so
Right.
I wanted to present the best book as possible. So that's how we got Yusuf Shitu on, and he's from Nigeria. Also met him through Facebook. Well, actually, I met him through Steven, actually,
Mm.
and but we know we stayed close together. I got him. He's doing the art for issue 2 as well. But it's just an amazing artist, and you know, like he definitely
Definitely.
his work deserves to be enjoyed because he really did his thing inside of there.
Yeah.
Then
And I saw basically you dipped into your creative self and basically added a little bit to the coloring.
yeah, yep. For issue 2, in issue 2, I took over as the colorist for issue number 2.
Mm.
Issue 1 was Mervin. That guy's awesome, but you know he had some things going on that he had to step away from the project for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Steve. I ended up writing issue 2 myself, and I got him come back to do the lettering, and I'm gonna try to rope him in to co-write with me for issue 3 because we work very well together. And
Word.
yeah, and I also have a color editor named Michael Florio, who is, you know, like very meticulous, man, and you know, like he scrutinized the whole thing and made sure that all the pieces made sense and were connected properly. All my page turns look good and everything. So
That's a underrated job right there, man. Sometimes you need that editor to just pull you back a little bit.
yeah,
I know a lot of writers can get carried away, be like, "Oh, I know what the hell I'm doing," and just
yeah,
pretty
no,
much just need somebody to bring you back.
yeah, absolutely, man. You know, I enjoy that process of having it dissected. Like this is good, but how can we say this better? This part right here, we telling them, but it's a visual medium, so let's show them instead of just telling them, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm prone to mistakes because I still consider myself, even though I try to present professional work, I still consider myself to be a bit of an amateur, right? So I make sure that my team knows what they're doing. So anywhere that I'm falling short at or I'm falling behind on, I got people that I trust enough to correct me when I need correcting.
Okay. Now I believe as of right now, you got what, like 22, 23 days left?
23 days left. Yep.
Yeah, 23 days left on the Kickstarter. And shoot, this is a 4 issue arc. So I mean, even though we right here at issue 2 and there's a lot more characters to play, 2 more issues, this going to like move a little bit quick.
Yeah. Yep. For this introductory arc, you know,
Yeah.
this is going to set the tone for. I am going to continue the story. I might try to create another title because I have some other ideas in
Hmm.
my head right now, but I definitely want to get this introductory arc completed first,
Yeah.
and then move on from there. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, we're going to finish these 4, and then I'm thinking an extended cut. If not an extended cut, at least compile them all into one graphic novel book.
Okay. Now, as far as like this book's concerned, it can be described in many things. Science fiction action. It can pretty much be in adventurous science fiction. And but the thing is, as far as like the genres that you've been inspired by and wanted to create that are outside of this, is there anything that you've wanted to try your hand at that this book doesn't have?
Well, let's see. Um, I don't know about genre specifically. Like you said, it does fit. It can wear many hats.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tell a story where there's an emotional attachment.
Okay.
You know what I mean, and that provokes your thoughts a little bit about uh, parenthood and the importance of setting these examples for your children's lives for them to walk through, even if they don't listen to you all the time.
Mhm.
At least they have these life lessons inside of the back of their head when they come up to these new challenges that they all eventually will come up to.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, with the 23 days left, man, I wish you the best. I know this is a long campaign, so I'm pretty sure you're gonna be sticking it out, looking at Kickstarter every damn day. But I
Yeah.
appreciate,
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate you being on here, man. I'm glad I finally got to talk about this book because I've talked about it to other people, and I was like,
Thank you.
I've been wanting to actually like talk to you personally about the book because I've been so intrigued by it. So I appreciate this. If anybody wanted to get their hands on issue one outside of the Kickstarter, maybe when the campaign is over, how could they possibly get their hands on it?
You can look up Sweet Pea underneath comic books on Kickstarter and you'll find it there. You can type in www.inked.pub/sweetpea2 in your web browser and you'll find it that way. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok underneath Sweet Pea2, and I have the link for it in my bio as well. And you might see one of my ads floating around somewhere on social media also.
Bird, that's what's up, man. Hey, once again, I appreciate you having it. Appreciate you coming aboard, man. This has been a good talk, and I look forward to seeing what this comes up with in the future.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Just one last thing, that cover that you have there is a Kickstarter exclusive cover, right?
Oh, word! Now that I didn't know.
Yeah, when I run a Kickstarter, the covers that I run on Kickstarter are exclusive to Kickstarter only. After I run out of that initial print, I switch over to another cover to try to give back to the people that help support me and back me and get my projects rolling. So
Mhm.
hopefully one day, when it's a big deal, you guys have these limited print comics. It's not thousands of copies of the same cover all over the place and increases the value of those a little bit.
Or no, that's definitely good to know, my man. So for James Grandmaster Facts Boys, Alim Leggett, Sweet Pea, issue 2 out right now on Kickstarter. 23 days left. Thank you for doing this again with me, and we are out.